Hi, this is Doug from the Darksliders podcast. This week we did something a little different again, where instead of just games and news, decided to have a discussion piece. This time, we're going to talk about the state of current gen and how it compared to last gen, and kind of what our feelings are and where it's headed. Hope you guys enjoy. So, kind of moving on from games we played, we've done this a few times. I don't know. I think me and Brad both sort of enjoy this, where we just sort of talk about games in general.
And that's all that really matters is if we enjoy it.
Yeah, pretty. I don't know. Until you guys comment. No, just kidding.
Until somebody says, this freaking sucks, shut the hell up.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
stuck
yeah.
with it. All
Yeah, until somebody
kind of
says
you.
different. Maybe like 2 or 3 people say different. So, so kind of like the main discussion I kind of want to talk about is current gen as it is now. Like, what are your thoughts? I think, how long has current gen been going? It's only been like a year and a
Yeah, it's
half,
a year and
I
a half.
think.
It was November of 13, I believe, is when PS4 and Xbox One launched.
Yeah. So how do you feel about this gen, say, compared to last gen? Are you excited where it's going? Are you not excited? Is there things that are worrisome? Just kind of discussions like that. So I just got into current gen. Like current gen was next gen to me until I bought my PS4 like recently and I started playing a lot more games. This gen feels super, super strange to me. I feel like I'm spending a lot of my time mostly playing indie games. I feel like a lot of the AAA games that I feel like some of them are like the best games I've ever played, and some of them I feel like I have Second Son and Shadowfall, and I put about a half hour into each and haven't touched them at all since. While Bloodborne was like one of the best games I've ever played, while most of my time
See,
is spent playing Rocket League.
okay, but here's what I'm going to instantly go back at you with this. Go back to PS3. How many big name AAA games did you play? How much Call of Duty did you play? How much I'm trying to think of like other gigantic. How much Killzone did you play on PS3? How much, you know what I mean? How much
Yeah,
Grand Theft Auto did you play? Like those types of games. How many of those did you play? Because you do like we always used to give you shit because like you only played weird games.
that's true. But you know what it was? You know what it was though? It's like PS3. When I did PS3, I came into PS3 really late as well. So this I think that's why this feels weird to me because when I had PS3, like there was like hundreds of games I could choose from,
Yeah.
and I could be weird about my games. Like I could pick like whatever weird games I want. But now I feel like I only have weird games to choose from. Maybe I think I've just been over bloated on like weird games. Like right now I'm like sitting here looking at my TV that has like a countdown for Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. I feel this gen's just kind of strange. That's kind of why I want to talk about it. Like, and I feel I don't know. I'm kind of rambling.
Yeah, a little bit. See, I'll agree to that to a point because I've played much more weirder indie type lower budget games now, but that's because my tastes have shifted a little bit.
Hmm.
10 years ago when I got my Xbox 360, because I believe, well, not quite 10 years ago, 8 or when would that have been? Like 2000? I guess it would be about 10 years at this point.
Yeah, almost.
Geez, like I bought my Xbox 360 and was like, oh shit, I can't wait to see what Halo looks like on this. That's why I
Hmm.
bought my, you know what I mean? That was my mindset of Xbox 360. When I bought my PS4, it was like, there's gonna be some cool stuff. Like, I don't know what's gonna be on
Hmm.
this. Who knows? Like, so it's a different mindset at this point because I'll bet 10 years ago if the PS4 came out, I'd be like, oh man, Battlefront's gonna look so good, and there's a new Killzone, and oh, I can't wait for Halo 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Mhm.
so part of it just is like shifted perspectives because I've played like, I mean, you mentioned Rocket League. I put 20 or 30 hours into that game. I went back through and played Flower again when I got my PS4. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, but to me, like those games are almost more interesting than the game than the. I think right now I just feel like we just have like a bunch of sequels or games that are really similar to other games as our AAA games. Like Bloodborne is Dark Souls 3, or Demons, whatever. It's like it's a third Souls game. Infamous Second Son is Infamous 3. Uh,
well,
Killzone is Killzone 4. Battlefront is Battlefront 3. I don't know. I feel like these games aren't as those AAA games just aren't as interesting to anymore because they feel so derivative of games I've already played.
but you have to remember that this is the first, essentially, year and a half worth of development. And I think that's why next year, we were talking about this a bit before the podcast, next year seems loaded at this point with like crazy stuff
Mhm.
that's coming out. At this point, you have to figure it's only probably been 4 years that a lot of devs have had these things in their hands and been able to play with them.
That's true.
So the
Yeah.
initial, and I feel like the initial wave for every release is not how innovative can we get this, it's how hard can we push this hardware. Like, what can I
Yeah.
make my game look like comes first, and then you start to get the experimentation of, okay, I can make it look this good. Now, what new things can I do with this?
Yeah, I mean that is true. I feel like a lot of devs are just building their engines for next gen.
Yeah,
So like their first game, like for their first next gen game, isn't going to be their best game. It's going to be their thank God we got this engine working. Thank God we actually got a game released.
yeah.
Um, so it's going to be hard for them to start experimenting. So that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like this is a weird time because this is like the first time I ever bought a system anywhere near launch. Like I never get systems within the first year. I usually wait like 4 or 5 years to
See,
get a
and we're in
system.
very different, because I mean, I got my 360 within a month. I got a PS2 within a month. I got my Xbox day one. I got my PS4 day one. Like I am jumping on board with this thing, and I want this now. So we're in very
Mhm.
different perspectives. Because I remember like when the PS2 came out, I remember being like, at that point, I mean, I was like, what, 15? No, not even 15, like
12,
12-ish.
12,
Yeah.
probably even younger, maybe like 10 or 11.
Anyway, I remember being like, okay, these games look good, but it's the same game. It just looks good. Like, you know what I mean? And same thing with like the 360. These games look good, but they're not that great. Like, there's nothing better.
Oh,
And I think that's just that first year and a half to 2 years. When you look at what's coming out next year, Final Fantasy 17 with like the giant world, end of this year with Fallout 4 and like all the crazy amount of content they have packed in there. When you start to look
yeah.
at these things that are slowly coming out, you're going, okay, now these are the devs that have had 4, 5, 6 years worth of time to really build something into this. They can kind of play around with it more. Because at this point,
Oh,
if you really think about it, it's graphics. That is what's differentiated PS4 from PS3 is graphics.
yeah. I guess that's kind of disappointing to me. It's like I think a lot of people are like, oh, like the graphics don't look as there's not as big a jump. I mean, that is true. That's probably true. But like when I play PS4, I was like, I am blown away constantly by the graphics. But when I play the games, I'm like, I've played this before. That's like my big problem with Arkham Knight. It's like,
Yeah,
I've played this game before. Infamous, I kind of felt like I had played it. Well, I played First Light. I think actually really did enjoy First Light. I think that's what happened with me in Second Son. I was like, First Light was awesome, but I was like, okay, that was my time with Infamous.
yeah.
But Killzone just kind of felt like another first-person shooter. Um,
See, and
yeah.
me and Brian, a couple episodes ago, and our friend Brian was on here. We talked about Shadow of Mordor. That is
Mhm.
the one game that I've played and gone, this couldn't have been done probably on my PS3 when they had the big Nemesis system and they had this intricate AI web that was going through it and changing the way the characters interacted, introducing like all these like NPCs that had all these detailed stories and these detailed connections, and it affected the gameplay and it affected how you did all that. That's why that game stands out to me because that is one of the few games I can sit back and go, I really don't think they could have done this, and they almost confirmed that themselves because the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions don't have that system in place.
But that's what's weird to me. I think I'm just used to like having a plethora of games. Like if that's the only game you felt like was really like a next gen game, I feel like that's why it's so strange to me. Is because like whenever I got my PS2 or PS3, or even like well not the Vita, um, but there's a lot of games available to me. Like I could be more discreet and like, okay, this is the game that I'm going to get because there's like 20 games I can choose from. So I can just pick the best of the best. But that takes like 3 years to get. So that's probably actually all it is.
Yeah, and see,
Um,
and as you're talking right now, I didn't get my PS3 until like 2 years ago. Like I got my PS3 maybe 8 months before I got my PS4, and I'm
yeah,
thinking in the back of my head here, how many games have I actually gone back and played from the first 2 to 3 years of the PS3's life cycle? It's not many.
it's probably just Resistance now that
That's
I
the
think
only one
from
that I
what you've
can
talked.
think of that was first 2 to 3 years of PS3 time because those games are just graphical upgrades for the most part of the prior system.
Okay, I guess I could see that. I think so you're saying it's like maybe just like kind of a wait and see sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think next year when you get, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15, Uncharted 4 with some of the crazy stuff that they've showed off already. Like when you start to really get into, I mean, that'll be year 3 of this system, so you know at that point these devs have had enough time to really get their hands on these things and really figure out what they can
Yeah,
do and start to be more innovative.
that is true. I guess the games I'm like most excited for, like well not maybe not Quantum Break, but like Scalebound and Horizon and Rhyme and The Last Guardian. Like to me, those things seem innovative, and it feels like I'm just like kind of waiting for those. And like, what do I have? I don't really have a lot now. I have
See,
like a lot of cool indie games. Like I think indie games are really cool and fun, but I just feel like the AAA is just taking a while to sort of catch up.
Well, and again, and all of those games that you listed are all next year, which is where you're in
Yeah.
year three, so you've got that time installed. And I think indie games, I think, are kind of at an advantage because number one, they don't take as long
Yeah.
in general. Obviously, there's the exceptions, but those games also, they don't. Indie games weren't really as open of a thing on PS3. There were some,
Hmm.
but they weren't this crazy push until the very end of it. So they had this kind of natural build into the PS4.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many indie games available. I think I like indie games a lot, but I feel like I'm still kind of waiting for like I like those experience games. Like I really do enjoy the whatever they tout, like I like when they were like up on E3 stage, like, oh, you're gonna really enjoy the experience of Uncharted 4. It's like, well, I do kind of buy into that. Like I
Yeah,
just want I want one of those like, wow, that was crazy games. I haven't really gotten one of those yet.
I'm gonna tell you the first. Well, I don't know the release date yet. First one's gonna be No Man's Sky. Just so I can
That's
keep
true. That
throwing
one will
that game out.
definitely feel next gen.
That is gonna feel crazy next gen, just because the amount of stuff they're doing with that.
Yeah.
You know they couldn't have done prior, and I think that's the feeling you want to have from these. Is I want to be able to do more than just look at a game and say that couldn't look like that on my PS3. I want to be able to look at it and go that couldn't play like that on my PS3.
I guess that's true. I think you're right. That just sort of takes time. Cool. Well, I guess I am kind of excited then for like 2016 stuff. and
Yeah, No Man's
maybe
Sky. Get excited.
yeah, that's true. And I might pick up Fallout 4 just because I'm really curious about that one as well. So that was another one of our discussion pieces. If you guys like what you heard, you can always follow us at Darksliders_POD on Twitter. You can also follow us on YouTube or iTunes, depending on how you want to listen to us. If you want to listen to our full podcast, we'll have those up on both YouTube and iTunes, and also SoundCloud. So if you guys like what you heard, I hope to see you guys next week.